Hello, good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, and today this is kind of a follow-up video to my original Commander rework video when I was originally going to be looking at secondary builds and how they have been affected by the Commander rework. So that video of course got sidetracked by the insanity of Deadeye. I did talk for about the first, I think 4 or 5 minutes about secondaries, and then we went on to talk about Deadeye for most of that video. Anyway, this is my, I guess, second impressions of the secondary build in the Commander rework. Now, before we get into that, a quick plug here for the Ranked Amateur podcast that I went on over the weekend. Now, if you didn't hear from yesterday's video, I did go on this podcast. We talked about the Commander rework and secondary builds and other aspects of that. Also, we talked a little bit about what's like behind the scenes for the channel and why I got into YouTube, how I got my name, and all that stuff. So if you're interested in that, please go check out the podcast. Link is in the description down below. It's a very interesting conversation, and I think most of you guys will enjoy it. Anyway, secondaries. So now after it's been like, what, 2-3 weeks since the rework came out, and we are nearing 10.1, it's secondaries. The thing is now, if you don't have a German battleship or one of the American secondary battleships, secondaries are not worth it at all to build into. So ships that used to be pretty decent secondary ships like the Shikishima and the Alsace, it's not even worth doing anything with those ships anymore because they did not get the base buff to the secondary accuracy that the German battleships got. If you don't know, right before the Commander rework came out, they switched it around and gave German battleships a base 22% boost to their secondary guns accuracy. So even before you put any modules or Commander skills on it, the German BBs now have a 22% boost to the base accuracy of the secondary guns, which is very helpful and the only reason why secondary builds on Germans are still viable. And the American battleships, so the Massachusetts, the Georgia, and the Ohio, those guns were already so accurate before the rework, they deemed them accurate enough, and honestly they are quote-unquote accurate enough now. They're still worse than they are from before, but they're still workable. So if you don't have a ship from these two sets of ships, forget about a secondary build right now because it's not worth it. I tried Shikishima, which had some darn good accurate secondaries before the rework, and it is absolutely atrocious. I'm talking garbage tier bad, like worse than shotgun accuracy. That slap to the secondary skill, the new Manifar for secondary skill to its accuracy, just is just hot garbage in my opinion. Marceau, go. Let's see. Oh my god, that's terrible! Look at that! That's with, oh my god! That is garbage! Oh, Marceau again, 9.5. That is hot trash. Look at that. And that's with, what, 12 commander points? More than that. That's 13 commander points? No, that needs to be better for that many. And yeah, I wish they would change it. We don't know anything that they're looking at changing because we haven't heard from Wargaming about any changes to commander skills or any more buffs to ships, so we don't know anything yet. So as of right now, as of the 8th, this is where we stand. So how effective are these secondary builds now? Well, if you can get to within secondary range and stay there long enough, they're pretty effective. Nowhere near how they used to be, like this match you're seeing right here. The end results of this match, if I had my old secondary skills and build on the GK, I would easily have probably another 100 to 200 secondary hits. So yeah, they could have easily done double the damage that they did this match if I had that old 60% boost to the accuracy of the secondary guns. They don't hit as often, but the skill also gives you a 10% reload boost to your main battery guns. And I have been finding that is very, very useful. For example, on the GK, that shaves about 2-ish seconds off of the main battery guns. So when you have the 420s, that's a bit of a boost to that DPM right there, because you're slinging out those 12 420mm shells that much faster on top of adrenaline rush too. So you are putting out, I would guesstimate, roughly the same amount of damage, but of course with the GK, accuracy of the main battery guns may vary, especially since in order to get a full secondary build you can't really run Deadeye on GK. Not that I would run Deadeye on GK, I've said it before, I say it again, I won't run Deadeye on GK seriously because it's a secondary ship in my heart, and that's how it's meant to be played. Now, how useful are the secondaries? Well, at mid-tier, most secondary ships actually got a bit of a buff, especially if they're German, because from tier 6 down, the boost with the old skill wasn't 60%, it was 30%. Now with the 22% buff to the base ships down there, they're actually, ironically, a little bit more accurate, and they got a little bit more range. And of course, lower tier matches are much closer, especially from tier 6 down. So it's actually pretty nice there right now. Probably kind of a safe haven, as most people would see it. And of course, Deadeye isn't as prevalent down there because battleships' consummate rates are quite trash from tier 6 and below, with a couple exceptions here and there. So mid to lower tier is kind of okay for secondaries, but from tier 7 up, high tier, realistically, how effective are they there? Well, if, and this is a pretty big if you can get in close, if the match allows it, if the way the match flows allows you to get in close, and you can stay in close and not just get nuked, not get torped, not get blapped by the 3 Thunderers sitting in the back of the match. Well, not blapped, but burned to death by the 3 Thunderers sitting in the back of the match. And you play smart, you hold when you need to hold, and you push when it's time to push. They can be effective. It is just so much more difficult to get into those situations now. Because before, if you were in a pretty bad situation in a German battleship, you could always turn around and just charge at the enemy and have a pretty good chance of doing a decent bit of damage before you get down. Unfortunately, now you can't really do that, because by the time you're like halfway through your turn, you'll have 4 fires set on you, or half your health will be gone from the Slava, Yami, Thunderers that are shooting at you from 24 kilometers away, and you'll be dead before you can do that. Now, it is painful, really, to play a secondary focused battleship right now, because it's so easy to just go, okay, let me put Deadeye on one of my other ships and just play that, and then rake in easily the same amount of damage, actually probably more, than you could do even if you do have a good secondary match. And that's the really painful part. The match you're watching right now is a really good match for me and for our team. Had a pretty darn good team for this match, and I did really well. The sad thing is, if I had taken out Yami with Deadeye, I could have easily done the same amount of damage at much less of a risk to my ship. I could have taken Thunder out and done easily triple this amount of damage with Deadeye Thunderer just by spamming HE, not even using AP, and it would have been, much less danger to my ship, would have gotten a lot more damage done, would have gotten more rewards. But if you are dead set on playing secondary focused battleships like I am, and still, well, not just playing just them, but refusing to bend the knee to the meta and put Deadeye build on all my high tier battleships, and you still want to play secondary build battleships, it can be done, but it is difficult. You need proper team support. You need to be very careful of where you're at, be very mindful of the map. Use cover to your advantage. As you can see later on, I'm kind of hopping from island to island in the GK, trying to move up, and going very slowly too, because you can't really, and some people say this is a good thing, you can't really rush it like you used to be able to. Like, you used to be able to just go, okay, screw this, I'm going to go ahead and charge now, because, you may have half your health gone, and you may be thinking, like I used to, okay, half my health's gone, I'm going to just, cut my losses here. I'm not going to try and run anymore. I'm going to turn around and fight, charge them, and do as much damage as I can do before I go down. You can't do that anymore. You have to be very careful and just pick your fights. And if you do it correctly, you do get rewarded, because as you'll see here in a moment, I go slow, give my team time to catch up, and then I charge, and I get this Vermont pretty much all to myself with I think a small lens nibbling at him here and there. And that's not really where most of my damage comes from this match. And for every one match like this, there's like 4 or 5 where I don't even really get to use the secondaries that much in GK or any brawling battleship, because the match rarely winds up within secondary range. A lot of matches, like the match before this, was pure pain. There was, I think, 4 Thunderers on one side, 3 Thunderers on my team, like 5 or 6 DDs, and no cruisers. So talk about a match that was long range. That match was pure pain and just not fun at all. So they can still work if you go slower, you're more tactical, be more aware of your surroundings. And again, some people say, well, that's a good thing that, you can't just unga bunga and do well. Yeah, like, I get that. I understand that point of view. But also, it does remove a lot of the fun out of it. To where, like I said, you just lost a bunch of health. You're going to say, okay, I'm just going to go on my nice little, last stand charge and go out in a blaze of glory. I know I'm going to die, but I'm going to go for it. Those days are pretty much over. Unless, again, you can manage to corner a ship that's alone, or you can do it outside of the range or the view of all the Deadeye BBs in the back. And plus, with the GK, a lot of ships you used to charge were battleships, and not many of them are going to let you get that close to them now. I'm pretty sure the only reason the Vermont let me get close to him is because, well, he didn't let me because it's the Vermont. It moves at the speed of a continent, so he didn't really have much choice there. So, yeah, that's what it's like to play secondary battleships right now. And, of course, too, it is a heavy, whoops, hit my mic there, heavy investment in the captain skills. You have to dedicate, well, pretty much all of your commander skills now into secondary skills. There's not a lot of wiggle room to add more variety in there. So, it's really painful that you're investing more commander points into this build, but effectively, you're getting less out of it now than from beforehand. And that really sucks, honestly. And a lot of builds are like that too. Well, just about every build, really. You're putting more into it, but you're getting less out of it. Unless, of course, you want the Deadeye build, then, that's the world's your oyster at that point. But anyway, guys, that's what it's like to play secondary battleships right now in the Commander rework. And the second this gets uploaded tomorrow, they could release a dev blog, and everything I just said here could be out of date, because who knows what they're going to do with adjusting commander skills and ships. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching. Remember to go check out the Ranked Amateur podcast. Link to that is in the description down below. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.